fine.
Sorry, folks. We're gonna have to deboard you. So I
Are
apologize.
you serious? Oh my God, woman, get off the plane!
Are you serious?
We don't have time for get off the
Folks,
plane.
please listen to flight
No, we've been already on the plane
Please
for like
listen
an
to that. We'll take care of
hour.
it.
Right, so apparently what transpired is that a lady which had an iPhone refused to put it on airplane mode. And because of that, the plane wouldn't take off, and eventually those two gentlemen got involved and told everyone that they have to deboard. So this sparked a beautiful conversation on Twitter, if you can believe it or not. Some people actually defending the lady on the phone, saying that it doesn't affect the way an airplane flies, that this is a trivial rule, and the people at fault are the airplane company. Now, I do sympathize with that point of view for one reason. When I went to Britain, I wanted to give someone there a little souvenir from Romania, and it was this miniature sword, which acted like a keychain. The sword was not sharp or anything like that. It was the size of my pointy finger. But when I reached airplane security, they told me that it's 1 centimeter too long for what they allow a sharp object to be. So I couldn't have it with me, and I had to throw it away. Now, the interesting thing is that after I get past the airport security, you go to the place where you can do shopping, right? So you could buy a bottle of wine from there. And I'm no expert, but I believe that a shard of glass can be actually longer and more sharp than the little trinket that I was carrying. And when you have that, you're already past security, so you're allowed to bring that with you in your cabin. So the rules make no sense. But with that out of the way, I would also like to point out that airplanes are operated by private companies. And when you go into an airplane, it's pretty much similar from a legal point of view. Not exactly the same, but similar to when you go into someone's house. So if you go into someone's house and they have some bizarre rule, like for example, they tell you to take your socks off, or even a better example, like Chuck from Breaking Bad. He doesn't like electricity, and he will tell you can only enter his house if you take away all of your electric gadgets at the door, and you also tap a grounded rod before entering. Right? Now, even though the rules are ridiculous, and you disagree with them, and they don't seem to make any point, you have a choice. You can either follow the rules, get into the person's house, or you can choose not to go into the person's house, right? Because it's someone else's property. It's not yours. Being on someone else's property is a privilege, not a right. But for some reason, modern people think to forget that. Especially when you go on TikTok and you see these activists, which are massive corporeal in nature, demanding that the entire aeronautics industry makes the Boeings larger because they can't fit. Like, unironically, that is something that a TikTok activist has said. Like, she couldn't fit in a Boeing, so she was blaming the manufacturer and the airplane company for not making the Boeings larger. At no point did she think that maybe it's a lot easier for her to lose weight than the entire industry to change its standards so that she can fit. But this is the type of mentality that people have. It's the main character syndrome. Like, everything you do has to be tolerated by others. You can inconvenience an entire group of passengers, and that's fine, right? Like people should empathize with your plight. And when you go on social media, people do empathize with your plight. Like, there's a lot of people that empathize with what this lady is doing for, not wanting to put her phone in an airplane mode right before takeoff. So, even if you were to say, well, okay, fine, the rules are ridiculous, they can be changed, which is true, right? Because these ridiculous rules were placed there to begin with, and if they were placed, they can also be removed. But this is not the way to do it, right? Like, you do not get into an airplane with other passengers and you inconvenience literally everybody because you don't know how to behave in a society. And you're a spoiled brat who was never told no. In your entire life, it was made it so that everything that happens to you is because of other people, and you are not responsible for anything that you do. You're like a leaf that's being carried in the wind. And it's only other people to blame for every misfortune, every bad thing that is happening. And of course, even the most small inconveniences, even the most minor inconveniences are social injustices that you need to fight against. I don't know if this lady particularly thought this when she refused to put her phone in airplane mode, but there are a lot of people on Twitter that are supporting her, which do think that this is the case. Yes, like being told to put your phone in airplane mode is such an inconvenience that she shouldn't put up with it, and she shouldn't tolerate it, and of course she should destroy the time of literally everyone else aboard that aircraft. Which is interesting because most of these armchair activists, as I like to call them, would probably react differently had they been on the plane with this lady. Because I don't see, any single person on the plane cheering for the lady or taking her side. And not to mention, like, you can't even do activism like this because none of the people involved get to have decision-making abilities. So the airplane pilot is not going to risk his job because, he probably believes the same. Like, he probably knows that, well, having a phone being turned on during a flight is not a risk, but it's the rules, it's the regulations, and he has to follow them. Because if something goes wrong and people start analyzing what happened, like a passenger can point out, well, yeah, but like this lady was allowed to have her phone open and blah, blah, blah. And then he has to fill paperwork, that he has to explain why was it allowed, why didn't they do their job, right? Because the company can go, well, okay, well, if he didn't do his job with this, like, what else did he fail? Why even put yourself in this position, right? He doesn't have the ability to call decisions like that. He has to follow the certain books of regulations. So yeah, like, what they're doing is just obnoxious, main character syndrome, type of people that society never tells no to, type of people that are being coddled by the modern culture, the type of ideology that protects these people into making them infantilized and acting like nothing they do has consequences and nothing they do should have consequences, and this is why you get this. It's a first world problem. I do not think that you're going to see this type of shit in Asia. I may be wrong, but, like, again, you may have different types of shit in Asia, but not this type of shit. Like, this type of shit is particularly Western. Due to the culture, yes. Because you know that you can get away with this without much backlash and pressure from society. Had this person made a racist joke, she would have been fired. But if this person decides to inconvenience an entire airplane, and maybe some of these people that were traveling are going to lose arrangements, they may end up losing more money, they may end up losing business deals, like a racist joke would have done less damage, demonstrably so, than what she done. But a racist joke would have gotten her fired, ostracized, and a pariah, while what she has done is something that's defensive, and people on Twitter are definitely protecting her. Even though there's probably minorities on that plane that are heavily inconvenienced. Like, I'm willing to bet if you ask a minority in this plane, like, what would you rather? This lady saying a racist joke or making it so that you lose your flight? I'm pretty sure, like, what those minorities would say. But again, the minorities are the ones making the culture, right? Anyway, right, let me know what you guys think. And I'll see you in the comment section. Take care.